I found it.
Ah, sweet! But Jung, we've only got 30 seconds before the show starts, and we haven't even started rebuilding the ABC yet. What are we gonna do?
There's only one way back now.
Quick match. Press the master board into the altar.
Well, that seemed to work. Good job. Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Junglist. And what, pray tell, have the game developers of the world served up this week?
Oh, a nice new batch, Jung. 2D goes next gen in Shadow Complex.
Who are you people? And what the hell is the restoration? None of your business.
The Caped Crusader is back in Batman Arkham Asylum.
And Wolfenstein is back. It's got Nazis, a castle, and lasers.
But first, can you guess the game for this week? And yes, it's a Batman game, but which one?
Answer at the end of the show. News.
Good game.
More than half of Xbox 360 units have suffered the dreaded red ring of death, according to a new poll of console owners. Game Informer surveyed 5,000 readers and learned over 50% of 360s have gone to meet their maker, compared to just over 10% of PS3s and nearly 7% of Wiis. Not that Bill Gates and the boys should be panicking, since less than 4% of those affected said the hardware failure would stop them buying another Xbox. The results of Game Informer's poll have been disputed by both Microsoft and Sony fanboys, with Wii owners remaining carefully neutral. An Australian university has come up with some troubling research revealing that teenagers who game are more likely to become problem gamblers. The University of Adelaide interviewed over 2,500 teenagers and found more than half of them had gambled in the past year, and that the biggest gamblers were also the biggest video gamers. One of the study's authors also connected regular gaming to lessened parental supervision and structured activities. Meanwhile, in America, a retreat for internet addicts has opened its doors. For $17,500 plus expenses, hardcore game users can spend 45 days cold turkey detoxing from the daily grind of grinding. The Washington-based Restart Retreat allows no technology at all, focusing instead on chores like feeding goats and building chicken coops, as well as taking participants on real-life wilderness adventures. With a 12-step plan similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, Restart aims to break gaming addiction and retrain tech addicts to enjoy real life.
Good game.
Available now on Xbox Live Arcade is Shadow Complex. You play an average red-blooded American man whose dad gave him special forces training, but he chooses not to use it because he's just not cut out for that.
How did you do that?
Ninja training.
Please.
Yes, the story is lame and the dialogue isn't much better. But when your girlfriend is kidnapped on a nature hike, Shadow Complex shows how a dash of torture can make that old kidnapped princess cliche exciting again.
I told you, I'm Claire Duncan, an anthropology student. I don't. Ow! I swear I'm not.
No, Claire.
It may be a cheap shot as far as emotioneering goes, but it worked on me, John.
On your quest to save the girl, you'll run a massive underground two-dimensional complex, but it's more like 2.5 dimensions because you're constantly interacting with the background.
With the right stick, you aim your laser's sight, and your targets switch between the background and the foreground seamlessly. Even cover objects like barrels and boxes will block bullets at the appropriate angles.
Some situations require stealth. Some just big guns. And there's great use of the environment, too.
Where's Claire?
I wanted to see more of that environmental stuff, though, because it's great, and it only really happens a couple times in the game. Shining your flashlight on certain objects will color code them, and this tells you what item you need to manipulate it. It's simple, but I really like this badge, and it's not just because I played Metroid. Color coding's just an easy way to get rid of the guesswork, and it's not like they've noobified it, because if you've got your flashlight on, you're already looking anyway.
And as you can see, it's a very pretty game, especially with some of the effects like firing bullets down into water. They're just fantastic. Less impressive is the AI. On a 2D plane, it's not uncommon to see groups of enemies shooting each other.
A little ways in and you'll discover the super suit, which not only looks badass, but it changes the focus of the game. All of a sudden, it's less about platforming and more about the action. This is mainly because the platforming becomes so easy with the various upgrades that you'll get, such as the double jump, a mask that lets you breathe underwater, and the supersonic boots.
And you get more experience to level up based on how well you take out a room. There's a healthy dose of auto-aim on normal difficulty, but you have to aim if you want to get those headshots. The more of those, plus melee attacks you chain together, the better the game rates you.
Sometimes it'll even pop up a window on your screen letting you know if you did better than your friends on Xbox Live or not, and I thought that was great, Badge. You can see why it's been dubbed Metroidvania. You feel like exploring each one of those rooms.
Where are you going?
I just want to see what's in that room.
But you've already got the key, just win already, who cares?
Because it's there, Badge.
Completist. It actually tells you where all the secret items are, but I get where you're coming from, Jung. Once you're there, it's fun trying to work out how to get them.
Yeah, on normal difficulty, it took me just under 6 hours. I mean, I was going for all the items, but that's partly because I just didn't want this game to end. It's worth noting, though, that on the different difficulty levels, it doesn't just change the health and damage. It goes the extra mile to give you harder combinations of enemies, different power-ups, and slightly less auto-aim. But it's a great world to be in, isn't it, Badge? I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, this is what next-gen platforming should be. I'm giving it 9 as well.
Good game.
Time to open the Ask Good Game inbox and make an attempt at answering some of your questions again.
First up is Dave from Bonathan.
Does Junglist have a Battlefield 1943 character called Junglist 1? If so, he keeps killing 2 of his fans.
Yeah, no, that's not him. What's next?
Right, well, we've got Daniel from Perth.
Why are some games not released in Australia at the same time they are released in the US? Like Rock Band 2.
Well, Dan, publishers tend to focus on the much bigger markets around the world, like the US with its 300 million people compared to our mere 20, often leaving us to wait anything from months to years to even forever.
Where'd you go?
With Rock Band 2, it turns out the delay is just because MTV owns the publishing rights to it, and they simply don't have plans to bring it to Oz yet. They couldn't even tell us any kind of potential release window either because they simply don't know.
Still, on the bright side, at least they confirmed for us the Beatles Rock Band is locked in for an Australian release in September.
Okay, next is a quick one from Sam in the Sunshine Coast.
Will we ever get to see any form of Duke Nukem Forever?
I think this is one for our crystal ball, Jung.
You mean our disco ball?
Yeah, a disco ball of 1,000 truths.
All right then. It's as if millions of voices suddenly cried out and were suddenly silenced.
Maybe we should consult the manual of 1,000 truths then.
Let's move on. Ben from Brisbane said this.
During last night's show, you reviewed Madden 10. The title graphic stated there is a PC version, but I thought EA Sports had dished every sports title for PC, except FIFA 10.
Sadly, Ben, all we can confirm is that we have to drink from the Noob Cup again, as you are right, out of all of EA Sports titles, only FIFA 10 will get a PC release. Lastly, Jordan from Bayswater in Victoria asks,
Could you please put up all the old Good Game episodes on the web? I'd like to watch them. Also, will you review Halo 3 ODST?
Yes, we will be reviewing Halo 3 ODST closer to its release date in late September. As for all the past episodes of Good Game, they are all still available online. And to help you find all 100 of them, we've made a special information thread on our forums.
if you have an Ask Good Game question, click on the link on our homepage and send us an email. Now, fight!
If you feel like you haven't killed enough virtual Nazis this year, then fear no more, Wolfenstein is back. But it's not a remake, it's a completely new game. The Third Reich have been experimenting with the occult, and it's given them all kinds of fancy.
It's basically an excuse to use lasers and fight a giant interdimensional spider.
True, but that's not a bad thing at all. The crazy weapons and abilities are the strongest parts of this game.
Set mainly in the town of Eisenstadt, it's up to BJ, yes, that's actually his name, to bust some heads and fry some soldiers. There's lots of gold and intel to collect around town if you can be bothered, and there's also always some shenanigans going on, which adds a nice atmosphere in between mission checkpoints. Some of the quest givers like to block your path and take quite a while to get their dialogue out, but this gives you plenty of time to make use of the jump button.
Won't waste time arguing about that now.
I wish the upgrades had been cheaper though, Jung. It's quite hard to find all the gold and intel because they blend in so well in the world.
Yeah, upgrading is slow, but later on when you get the more powerful weapons, you can build them up even further. You'll also unlock and upgrade Veil abilities, which let you walk through walls and upgrade your speed and accuracy.
It also enables you to shoot through shields, put up shields of your own, and slow down time. There is the occasional moment where the game forces you to use these abilities to get through a slow-moving door or dodge something a bit weird, but you'll mainly be using them in combat, which is good because the environmental puzzles are boring.
It's a functional combat device, and the gunplay in general is great. The particle cannon never gets old as it evaporates enemies in a wondrous shiny glow, and the lightning gun is my personal favorite. It has a satisfying pop as your enemies reach boiling point.
Yeah, the particle cannon owns, but no boomstick whatsoever, which is always a shame. How good are the nades though, Jung? The way the camera reacts is unobtrusive and exciting all at the same time. Every enemy comes with their very own red barrel. And if for some reason you can't see where it is, all you need to do is slip on the veil and shoot the veil monsters, which act in a similar way. Actually, I didn't mind the red barrels so much here, and it comes down to their satisfying explosions.
Yeah, the levels look great and run smoothly. Enemies are smart too. They'll rush for cover, create their own cover, and blind fire.
And some pretty gruesome fatalities too. The action can be exciting at times, but until you get the tougher weapons, it's all a little bit spammy. All in all, it's a pretty decent game with some nice production values and a great score and great sound design too. Unfortunately, this doesn't really carry over into multiplayer, which is only fun if you like hearing the same gun sound effect noise go off again and again and again while you're shooting below coloured triangles. I quite like the single-player campaign, Jung. I just can't work out why it's called Wolfenstein. I mean, there's not much here to remind you of the old classic.
The funky weapons in this game weren't enough for me to overlook the fact that it's another World War II game with Nazis, and I'm all Nazi'd out. I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I know what you mean, Jung, and I'm no language expert, but I'm pretty sure some of Z accents are Z terrible.
Blaskowitz, there's nothing more to learn here. Please, join my men at the church and help them destroy the Nazi weapon.
I liked it a bit more than you, though, even though it didn't have a giant mechanical Hitler at the end. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
So, you're a gamer. Given the choice of movies, TV, or games, you choose games. Given the choice of a cruise around the world or 6 weeks on the couch gaming, you choose gaming. Given the choice of $1 million and 1,000 games, you'd probably take the money and then buy some games. But sometimes your favorite pastime lands you in hot water with your friends, family, colleagues who think you should be spending your time doing something a little more productive. Well, we're here to help with our top tips on how to justify your playtime to the non-gamers or unenlightened in your life. First up, get the non-gamers involved. This really can't be overemphasized. Games like Puzzle Quest, Wii Sports, Little Big Planet, even Brain Training have made gaming accessible to the noobiest of noobs. The thing is, you gotta be smart about this one. You can't expect newcomers to go straight into 10 rounds of Counter-Strike.
What's that one?
That's the AWP,
What does it stand for?
Arctic Warfare Magnum.
So why do you say AWP?
Such a noob. Ease them in first. Play with them. Let them experience the funs, and who knows, you might have fun yourself and get some new gaming compadres. Lots of games are team-based, which means if you play them, you're learning how to get along with others. which is the key to a happy and successful life, right? So if you play a game like Warhammer Age of Reckoning or Team Fortress 2, chances are you'll end up in a clan or a team. And then you're learning all about time management, people management, and valuable social skills like coping with conflict. If you could defuse the bomb sometime within the next 15 seconds, that would be great. When you have a great time owning it up with the clanmates, try telling the non-gamers in your life about how your management skills ensured success. That's right. It's a fact that surgeons who train using video games are a third better at their jobs than non-gaming docs. I could never beat Trauma Center. Patient always died. And who doesn't want a doctor in the family, right? It's also been proven that active minds are healthy minds. Those who continue to solve problems like crosswords late into life are less likely to suffer from brain-degenerating diseases like Alzheimer's. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and gaming can help you build up that competitive edge you can carry over into your real life. Your friends and family want nothing more than to see you succeed. And even though winning a tournament or getting a high score isn't that big of a deal, it's still pretty cool and an achievement, so let them know about it. Winners are grinners, but nobody likes a sore loser.
What? You cannot be serious!
This is the other side of the coin. Losing is arguably more important than winning, and games are a great training ground. So how did you handle that big loss, champ? Did you rage? Or did you figure out what you did wrong and fix it? Oh, it was the grenade. Depending on the type of game you play, you're gonna come across all sorts of technology on the way, PC games especially. You know how you type in console commands in some games? You're actually learning a simple programming language. Making a clan video or a forum signature, you're learning important editing programs. In fact, even if you're just chatting online, that's upping your typing skills right there. In a world with rapidly changing tech, it's gonna be useful to have a gadget guru around the house. So we hope our tips have made it a little easier to get some hassle-free gaming under your belt and learn a few useful life skills in the process.
Good game.
It's over, Joker. Over? Knock me off, I dare you.
When it comes to heroes, there aren't many who are as cool, calm, and collected as the Cape Crusader. Batman Arkham Asylum takes place on an island that houses Gotham City's most notorious and dangerous criminals. And the story begins as Bats once again returns Joker back to Crazy Jail where he belongs.
Love what you've done with the place.
Yes, it was almost too easy. The Joker always has something up his sleeve, and of course, it's a trap.
And you sprang it gloriously! Now let's get this party started. Ladies and maniacs,
Batman suspected as much, but was unable to stop the Joker before he could take over the whole facility and direct everyone to kill Batman.
The story unfolds slowly, but we won't spoil it for you. It's told with a lot of Bat love, and in fact, there's a lot gone into this game to make Batman fans happy. Batman is moody, grumpy, smart, and sneaky, and he also has some next-gen 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, he's all gruff and stuff, and as the night progresses, he gets more and more tattered as well. The character models stay true to the original comics and the animated series, and he sounds like Batman should, which also rings true to the die-hard fans because it's voiced by Kevin Conroy. He's been doing voicing for Batman in TV, movies, and games for years.
Warden, something's not right. I'm going with him.
As you go about your business of solving puzzles and apprehending villains, narrative is piped through the Asylum's speaker system, and this, along with the tons of dialogue and excellent level design and markers, ensure that you always know where you're supposed to go and why you're going there.
Yeah, there's really solid direction here. Even though you're going on a linear path in a small sandbox, you don't really notice it because there's always a new gadget that opens up a new area, or the environment itself changes, such as when Poison Ivy takes over the prison.
Even so, Badge, I did get sandbox claustrophobia.
Yeah, the moment you get on the island, all you want to do is get off, and you never do. In fact, it's even got its own bat cave to ensure that you haven't got anywhere else to be. Thanks.
This doesn't mean you're short of action, however, the fighting system starts off very simple, with one button for counter, one for attack, and one for stun. Things start to get more interesting when you unlock more gadgets and abilities, and when you come across enemies that need to be stunned first or attacked from behind.
And as good as the combat looks, and he does fight like Batman should, you don't really start enjoying it until about halfway through the game, when you start fighting enemies with more weapons and when you unlock more of the combos. And you'll even need to ride the back of the odd elite inmate to help even out the odds. Although there really is nothing like waltzing up to a group of goons, kicking some butt, and then dusting yourself off. And the way the camera moves is superb. It shows a sweeping shot which kind of says, look at the mess I've made. I'm quite happy with that. Let's move on now, shall we?
Yeah, there are a few hero moments like that in the game. I mean, some are quite subtle, but it's usually not worth the effort going all the way through a combo to get to the finisher. Combos break pretty easily anyway, and by the time you get to the end of one, usually there's no one around, so it goes to waste.
Yeah, and I know we're harping on about the combat system, but it's the only part of the game that really falls short, and it just focuses on looking good rather than being good. Even so, though, I never really got tired of it.
Along with the rough and tumble, you'll get some stealth situations, which change each time. First, there's just a few goons with melee weapons, then one or two might have a gun, so you need to throw some batarangs to knock them out of their hands, or simply swoop down and take out the hardest guy first. Later on, you'll just have stacks of guys wandering around, all with machine guns, all talking to each other and looking for you.
I love how they all start off really confident, but as you slowly whittle down the numbers, they get more and more stressed. And you really do feel like a predator to the enemy, separating one from the herd, taking him out quietly, and then moving on to the rest. Although, Jung, I know he's Batman, but you can't help but wonder why they can't see him sometimes, especially when he's hanging down from a gargoyle. I mean, it wouldn't be like that in real life, if Batman was real in real life, which he is, in my mind.
I know you there, Badjo.
I'm Batman.
Some gadgets and environmental opportunities help with the stealth, such as placing blasting gel against walls.
It's good that they mix things up with the psychedelic scarecrow moments as well, Jung, and also there's some pretty freaky flashback ones in there too, and mostly they hit the mark and they're all welcome.
But what about all the slow walking, Badge? Isn't that your pet hate at the moment?
Jung, he's Batman. He can do what he likes because he's Batman.
If she's still got Gordon with her, he could get hurt.
Okay, done. The Batmobile is still parked up outside the intensive treatment building in Arkham North. I sent you the schematics for the entire island.
Well, all right. The climbing around is pretty easy, and the grappling and gliding is a joy. You spend a good amount of time getting from point A to point B, and I never realized Batman spent so much time in vents, Badge. Did that bother you?
Jung, he's Batman. If he wants to spend time in vents, he can because he's Batman and you can't stop him.
Well, it's a joy for fans, and for everyone else, it's all right. You won't be riding the Batmobile or climbing any Gotham skyscrapers, but you will drool at the crisp visuals and bask in the universe that's been done justice here. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chicken.
Yeah, it's got a lot of style, and there's a lot of nice touches, such as Batman always opens a vent more quietly if there's enemies about, and you never really fall to your doom. And how the auto-aim always knows exactly what you're trying to grapple or attack. Look, it takes ages to kick into gear, so we recommend playing it on hard right off the bat. Look, the fanboy in me really wants to give it 9 out of 10, but the gamer in me has to give it an 8. It was just almost brilliant, but not quite.
Oh, Bat. So did you guess the game for this week, Caped Crusaders?
It was Batman, obviously. But did you know the subtitle, Return of the Joker? I never knew he left, John.
As usual, the Clown Prince of Crime has escaped from an insane asylum, possibly Arkham, and sent his minions out to wreak havoc in Gotham City. With the help of some utility belt power-ups and brooding 8-bit graphics, it's up to Batman to save the day.
This Sunsoft game was a sequel to the 1989 NES title, which was simply called Batman. Return of the Joker is one of the few Batman games not based on a Bat movie, Bat comic, or Bat television series. And that brings us to the end of another episode.
Next week, finally, Final Fantasy fans can stop fantasizing about Cloud versus Sephiroth in a cage match because Dissidia is here on PSP.
And we take to the skies in Sturmovik Birds of Prey. It's a ridiculous title, but it has lots of planes and it looks okay.
Plus, do you put your gaming credentials on your CV? We find out just how acceptable it is to call yourself a gamer these days.
If you're into social networking, there's plenty of ways to join in the Good Game community. Facebook, Twitter, forums. And we even got one of these. It's something I haven't seen in quite a while. It's from William in Perth. And I wasn't really quite sure what to do with it.
Oh, it's like an email, but in real life.
I know. No, device not recognized.
Is that like a door?
Enhance. Enhance.
What are you doing now?
Vulcan mind down.
This could be it.
Oh.
Try switching to Jedi. No, I'm imagining.
Thanks very much for your letter, Will. Bajo out.
Junglist out.